So apparently the Austin Metcalf story was simply not a big enough wake-up call for some people to understand the issues that are going on in this country. Apparently, watching an entire community come together to celebrate the death of a white child while mocking his family, while mocking anyone who dared to care, was not enough to wake people up, to show people this mentality that exists in portions of the black community, this mentality, this dangerous mentality that I've been warning people about in these videos. The Austin Metcalf case was not enough to show people how dangerous this mentality is. And then, of course, a couple of weeks later, we have the Shiloh Hendrix story. Seeing the same community that rallied behind Karmelo, who said Karmelo did nothing wrong in killing a white child, who said that Karmelo's charges should be dropped, that he should be free, that he did nothing wrong. Seeing these same people all call for the arrest of Shiloh Hendrix for saying their favorite word, seeing the same community that supported Karmelo come together and say that they want to find Shiloh's baby and hurt her baby, that was not enough to wake people up to this mentality that I've been warning people about. But you see, unfortunately, we have so many examples of this mentality, and all you have to do is wait a day or two and you'll have another example. So here I am today to provide another example for you all, just in case you haven't woken up yet. So today I want to talk to you guys about Rodney Hinton. But in order to talk about Rodney Hinton, first we have to talk about his kid, Rodney Hinton Jr. You see, a few days ago in Cincinnati, police received a call about a stolen vehicle. When they eventually found this stolen vehicle, Rodney Hinton Jr. and his little friends were all inside. But of course, they scattered like roaches when you cut the light on once the police arrived. Now, as police were chasing Rodney Hinton Jr., they claimed that they saw he had a gun and that he pointed it at them. And that's when they popped him a couple of times and they ended his life right there. Now, I've seen the footage and it's kind of quick. It all happens really quick. It's kind of blurry. In the footage, I can't really tell if Rodney Hinton pointed, or Rodney Hinton Jr., I can't tell if he pointed the firearm at the cops or not. I can't tell. But here's what I do know. Everyone knows in America by now that you can't be running around with a gun when you get pulled over by police because they'll most likely pop you right there and ask questions later. That is a given fact, and I want to make this clear before I go any further. I am not a back the blue no matter who type of guy. I'm also not a defund the police type of guy. But I'm not someone who's like the cops' biggest fan. I don't hate the police. I respect the police. I know how to carry myself around police. But I also don't treat them as if they're like godly. I don't put them on a pedestal. I understand that the police can and will be weaponized against you and me in a heartbeat. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the beer bug lockdowns a few years ago when they were arresting people for not wearing a mask, when they would go into grocery stores and physically drag people out of the store because they walked the wrong way down a one-way shopping aisle. Okay? These same police who ignore all of these crazy violent crimes are now conducting a full investigation into Shiloh Hendrix for saying the N-word. I understand that a lot of cops are good cops that do their job, but there's also bad cops. And even the good cops, if the right person is in power, they can and will be used against you. They can and will be used against you to take away your freedoms and your rights. And that's a fact. We've seen it before. But with that being said, I just find it absolutely, it's just so ignorant that the black community, they always complain about police. They complain that police are, mean to them, that they complain about police brutality. They say that officers are always shooting black men, right? We've seen all of the complaints. But you would think by now that they would learn how to conduct themselves around police officers. Now listen, some police officers are bad. It doesn't matter how you conduct yourself. They are douchebags and they're going to be a bad cop regardless. But more often than not, if you carry yourself like a decent, civilized human being, you're going to make it home after running into the cops. You'll either make it home or you'll make it to jail, but you'll make it out alive. And it's just so ignorant that the same community that complains about run-ins with police all the time, they still to this day don't understand that, hey, if you act out violently with cops, you're probably going to get plugged. If you run around with firearms from the cops, they will burn you in a heartbeat. But this community still doesn't realize that, I guess. They still haven't put two and two together. But anyways, we're not really here to even talk about Rodney Hinton Jr. We're here to talk about his father. Because after the cops killed Rodney Hinton Jr., the next day, they brought in Rodney Hinton, the father, and the family to show them the body cam footage of what happened. Midway through the body cam footage, Rodney Hinton Jr.'s father, Rodney Hinton, got really upset and he walked out. He didn't even want to see all of it. And an hour or two later, he goes and he mows down with his vehicle, he mows down a cop that is working at a graduation. Now, when I first saw this story, all I saw were, portions of the black community celebrating Rodney Hinton like he was a hero. And I wasn't really sure what was this story even about. And I kind of automatically assumed that, an officer killed your kid and then you went and found and killed the same officer. Now, I'm not saying that's okay, but at least that makes more sense, right? Like, this guy killed your kid. Maybe you could say the shooting was justified or not justified, but this guy killed your kid, and then you went and killed him. At least that makes sense. But that's not the case. Rodney Hinton went out and just ran over some random cop. An off-duty cop that had just retired. He was working as a special duty officer, which means they will basically bring him in when they have big events. We need you to help, direct traffic for the Civic Center. We got a big concert. Or in this situation, they had a big graduation and they wanted him to work the crosswalk. Make sure, people are crossing safely. Make sure you're directing traffic safely, whatever. This was a cop that had nothing to do with what happened to Rodney Hinton's child. But Rodney Hinton decided, hey, I'm going to go run over this cop an eye for an eye. I don't care if he has anything to do with the situation at all. And he just went and mowed down this innocent officer, killing him for no apparent reason. And now, no big surprise here, a large portion of the black community, they're coming together, they're rallying around Rodney, and they're acting like he's a saint, like he's a hero. And they are celebrating the death of this random officer, not caring at all. No care, no F's given that this is just a random officer that had nothing to do with Rodney Hinton's son. A random officer who had already retired that was just working a little extra to help people at a graduation, direct traffic, and to work the crosswalk. And these people are celebrating. They're ecstatic. They're happy. They're foaming at the mouths with excitement about Rodney Hinton running over this cop. But don't take my word for it. I cherry-picked a few comments and posts that I want to read for you all so you could better understand this mentality that I keep trying to warn you guys about. And look, there's 50 examples that happened just within this week that we could talk about, folks. Okay? And this mentality isn't going away when you ignore it and act like you're holier than thou and you're above all of the tribalism going on in this country. Understand, these people don't care. They don't view you as an ally. If you get ran over by a Rodney Hinton tomorrow, they'll celebrate your death too. If your kid gets shanked at a track meet, as long as he's white and the person who shanked him is black, they'll celebrate your kid's death as well. So let's go ahead and read some of these posts. God bless the father. Now let's see if people donate thousands for his bail. And here's a really big account on X. Father whose son was shot by police officer runs the same deputy over with his car, killing him. The police took his son's life, so the next day he ran over an officer and ended his life too. Rodney Hinton Jr. was not playing about his son. Rodney Hinton was not playing about his son. He went and killed some random officer. Yeah, he's a hero. That's the ignorance that we're dealing with here. Mind you, they falsely reported that it was the same deputy that killed his son. It's not. Deputy didn't even work for the freaking same police precinct. This guy was retired, off duty, just working special duty to help out with events. And then, of course, they're sharing these innocent photos of Rodney Hinton Jr. Oh my God, look at the baby photo. Look at him in his school uniform, or his football uniform. Oh my God. How about you show what he looked like when he was running around with the gun in a stolen car, right? And they're all celebrating Rodney Hinton like he's a great father because he went and ran over some random person that had nothing to do with what happened to his son. But if he was a great father, maybe his son wouldn't be riding around in a stolen car with firearms and running from the police. But let's go ahead and read some more ignorance. Y'all can keep those narrative. This father has no criminal record. Any father that knows just will not be rightfully served would have did the same thing. I stand with Rodney Hinton Jr. Rodney Hinton Jr. And look, I have had such a hard time trying to figure out what this guy's actual name is, because what you will always see come from these portions of the black community is that they don't really follow these stories. They don't follow the cases. They see a couple of like viral posts about it on Facebook or social media, but 9 times out of 10, they spell the people's names wrong. This whole time I'm trying to figure out, is it Rodney Hinton or is it Rodney Hilton? Because you guys can't even get the guy's freaking name right. You treat him like a hero. You care so much about the story, but you can't pronounce his name. You can't even put together a paragraph that makes sense. But let's go forward. Rodney Hinton Jr. did what any parent should do when having to depend on a system that has never given true justice. They always get paid vacations when they kill a black person, so this father sent one of them on a permanent vacation. I'm so glad he killed that officer. Jeez. Because it's white bitches like her who think the officer is right. He never had a gun and the footage shows it. So F that officer and any other white officer in that picture. I hope y'all kids are next. Right there. Right there. I am glad he killed that officer, and I hope your kids are next. Just in a heartbeat. This person doesn't even know the details of the story. This person does not know the facts of the story. They just know white person, black person, white person's in the right, death to whitey, your kids need to die next. Just bam. Right out there. And these people so openly talk about this stuff on their public social media profiles with their real names attached, with their real pictures attached, with listings of where they work, because they know they don't have to worry about repercussions for what they say. Now, if a white person says something like this, they'll have an angry mob come after them that will try to cancel them. They'll make sure they lose their job. They will harass them. They will make them feel in danger. They will threaten their kids, all of that. But black people just get on here and celebrate white people getting killed on a daily basis. They don't hide it. They're not hiding behind fake profile pictures, nothing. Just all out in the open, bold with it, because they don't care, because there's never any repercussions for the things that they say. So they'll openly wish for the death of white kids right out in the open, and they know nothing's going to be done about it. And you want to know what they also know? They know that when someone like me has the courage to call it out, we'll have other white people attack me saying, "How dare you, you racist, don't say anything about black people." But let's go forward. I don't really know the whole Rodney Hinton Jr. story, but his dad did right. I know killing one another isn't the answer, but baby karma be taking too long sometimes. So you don't know the story at all. She literally admits, I don't know the story, but the dad is right. Why? Because the dad's black, right? And you're assuming that the officer that got killed was white because you just assume police are white. And even if police aren't white, you still view them as white. I don't know the story, but the daddy right for killing that man. Let's go forward. Rodney Hinton Jr. did what most parents would probably do, or at least try to do. That man should be free, or at the very least get probation and community service. So here we have another ignorant. So, just so we're clear here, Karmelo shanking Austin Metcalf, he deserves to be free. He did nothing wrong. Shiloh Hendricks saying the N-word at the park, she needs to go to jail, and her kid needs to be beaten until he has brain damage. Rodney Hinton runs over a cop that has nothing to do with this story at all, kills him, and he deserves to be free, maybe get some community service or probation. And that's why you don't try to level with these people. That's why I keep telling you, these people aren't here to fight fair and play fair. You could try to be the most reasonable, good-hearted person you want. It's not going to work with these people. I'm a very reasonable, good-hearted person. But I also understand what we're up against here. And I also understand that this isn't going to go away from everyone just being nice, because that's not how this works. That's not how the world has ever worked in the history of this planet, ever. Let's go forward. Because it's really never ending with this ignorant nonsense. Hinton deserves a Father of the Year award. Hinton, whose son ran from cops because he was in a stolen car and winded up getting shot. That's great parenting. You raised the son that did this, and now you deserve Father of the Year because you went and took your car and ran over some stranger that probably didn't even know what happened with your son. But he deserves Father of the Year. Why? Because he ran over some white guy, or at least who they're assuming is a white guy. Father of the Year, folks. Some of y'all fail to realize there are some people that will go that distance for their kids, and Rodney Hinton is that parent that would. So, understand, folks, these are just a few off the top comments that I wanted to read for you guys so you understand the mentality here. Because I guess some people still don't understand this mentality. It's not a what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong type of mentality. It's not a, oh, let's take a fair look at this and really assess what's going on here type of mentality. No, it's an automatic, white people are always wrong, black people are always right. Black people should not be held accountable for anything. White people deserve to be killed if they do anything wrong at all, if they say anything wrong. Even if you're an innocent person that has nothing to do with anything, if you still deserve to die just because it's an eye for an eye, one for one. Some black kid got killed, now some white guy has to get ran over. I don't know how to fix this problem. I don't know how to fix this mentality. I don't have the answers, but I do know that we start by calling it out. Because for years, this type of thought process, this mentality has existed. And it's very widespread in the black community. I don't have the answers or the solutions for this problem, but I do know that the first step is recognizing the problem. Because for decades now, no one has had the courage to call out the problem, to recognize the problem, to label the problem, and to just call it for what it is. So that's the first step in all of this. And I know that there's still going to be pushback, but slowly but surely, people are going to start waking up, folks. This can't keep going on forever. We can't keep watching this community celebrate these crazy violent acts because it's only going to get worse. And it's obviously already getting worse. Just look at the few stories that we've talked about in the last couple of weeks. And you know, when I hear people talking about race wars and stuff like that, I think it's stupid for multiple reasons. For one, I just want to get along with everyone, right? Like in an ideal world, I would just like to get along with everyone because I love everyone. I like everyone of every different size, shape, color, religion, background, whatever. If you treat me good, I'm going to treat you good. But I also understand that you can be the best person you want to be. It's not going to protect you from people that have this mentality that I'm talking about in this video. I understand that it's not the entire black community. Not all black people feel this way, but there is a large portion of the community that does feel that way. I don't think we as Americans are as divided in real life as we are on social media. I think that some situations fester and boil over on social media and they get really crazy on social media. But in real life, you know, a lot of people just traversing through life don't even care about these kind of stories that we're talking about. But also when I hear people talk about the race war and stuff like that, I'm like, well, if you really want to be honest, it seems like the war has already begun. It's just being fought one-sided right now. Because, I mean, every day I'm waking up to like half a dozen stories about black people killing innocent white people. Every day. Not as much the other way around, but every day it's just tons and tons of stories. So it kind of looks like a war has already been waged against white people. It's just that white people haven't joined the battle yet. That's what it seems like to me. Now, I don't want there to be any issues. I don't want there to be any racial conflicts at all, right? I don't. But I mean, how can we ignore that every day when we wake up, there's another story about some white kid getting killed, some white person getting ran over, some white lady getting abducted and beaten. Like, it's just every single day. So, I mean, people could say, oh, this is coming or that's coming. Maybe it's already here. Maybe we've already been witnessing this for years now. But as far as this Rodney Hinton situation goes, it's just another one of those ridiculous stories that you could point at and say, hey, look at the ignorance being spread here. But with all of that being said, you go ahead and let me know what you think about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.